Overcrowded cells.
Women's prison says the jail is full to overflowing with more than 40 prisoners than its capacity.
Hunger, disease, and cruelty await those inside these vulnerable African prisons. What happens when hope fades and the walls close in? In the darkest corners of Africa, women are left to endure unspeakable horrors. Well, to know all about 10 worst women's prisons in Africa, you have to stay tuned till the end. Patare Prison. By the 1920s, the prison had earned a reputation for its brutal conditions. Winters were especially harsh, with frost creeping along the walls, and prisoners, huddled together under thin blankets, struggled to survive the freezing cold. Many suffered from hypothermia and infections in overcrowded cells designed for far fewer people. At its peak, Patare housed over 4,200 people, far beyond its original capacity of 1,200, making life unbearable. Today, some say the prison is haunted by the spirits of those who endured unimaginable pain. Visitors often report strange cold drafts, eerie whispers, and a heavy sadness hanging in the air. Whether it's the ghosts of the past or the prison's tragic history, Patare's atmosphere is thick with untold stories, a chilling reminder of its dark legacy. Kala Women's Prison, DR Congo. Makala Women's Prison, located in Kinshasa, the capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo, is known for its severe overcrowding, poor sanitation, and lack of basic necessities. Originally built for 1,200 prisoners, the facility now holds over 4,500 detainees, with women being the most affected.
The government says more than 120 people were killed in an attempted jailbreak. Rights groups say the number could be much higher.
In many parts of the prison, women are forced to share tiny spaces, often sleeping on the floor in unsanitary conditions. A major issue is the lack of clean water. Many women rely on unsafe sources, increasing the risk of diseases like cholera. This, combined with poor food rations, usually just small portions of rice or maize, leads to widespread malnutrition. Around 40% of the female inmates are undernourished, making them more vulnerable to illnesses. Legal aid is scarce in Makala, and most of the women there are pre-trial detainees, some waiting for years without trial. It's estimated that up to 60% of the women are detained without trial, which violates basic human rights. The prison also has very few medical resources, leaving many women with untreated illnesses and injuries. Mental health issues are also prevalent, but with no proper care, these problems only worsen. A 2020 Amnesty International report highlighted the dire conditions, calling for urgent reforms to improve overcrowding, sanitation, and healthcare. Despite these calls, little has changed, and the women in Makala continue to endure conditions that threaten both their physical and mental well-being. 8. Langata Women's Prison. Langata Women's Prison in Kenya, a nightmare hidden behind its rusty gates, is one of the most overcrowded and dangerous prisons in the country. Originally built to house fewer than 800 inmates, the prison is now home to over 2,500 women, crammed into tiny cells with barely enough room to breathe. The walls, thick with despair, hold more than they can bear, as the lack of space amplifies the suffering. With limited resources, the most basic human needs, food, water, sanitation, are scarce. Many women, including the elderly and pregnant, suffer from malnutrition, respiratory infections, and painful skin diseases as the unsanitary conditions spread illness like wildfire.
Not easy. I love you and I'm so sorry. I am really sorry. I really never meant to leave them. I never meant to fail them.
But what's worse is the presence of children in this hellish place. Young ones, born behind bars, are forced to live in these suffocating conditions. There's nowhere for them to play or learn, no safe place to run, only the relentless noise and tension that echo through the prison. With inadequate health care and no room for growth, both mothers and children are vulnerable to even the smallest illness. The inadequate nutrition and constant stress only compound their suffering, leaving them barely hanging on. The constant overcrowding has drained any hope that once lingered in these walls. With every inch of space occupied, the emotional and mental health of the women deteriorates. They are denied the chance to even rest, as they sleep huddled together like sardines, barely able to move. Chikurubi Female Prison, Zimbabwe. Chikurubi Female Prison in Zimbabwe is a nightmare for the women who live there. Designed for just 50 inmates, it regularly holds over 300, cramming them into tiny, overcrowded cells. Food is scarce, mostly sadza and boiled vegetables, which leave many women weak and sick, especially the pregnant ones. Medical care is nearly non-existent, and diseases like tuberculosis spread rapidly in the unhygienic conditions. There's not enough clean water, and the few toilets available are shared by too many. Basic hygiene products like sanitary pads and soap are scarce, leaving women to improvise with scraps of cloth, causing infections. Many inmates stay longer than they should because of delays in the court system. Chikurubi is a harsh, suffocating place for those who find themselves inside. Bamako Women's Prison, Mali. Bamako Women's Prison in Mali is overcrowded, and conditions are dire for the women held there. Originally built for 400 prisoners, it now houses over 1,500 women, causing cramped and unhygienic living conditions. Many women sleep on the floor with little space to move, and overcrowding worsens the spread of diseases. Poor sanitation and lack of clean water make conditions even worse, with cholera being a major risk.
La loi malienne également dit que l'enfant peut accompagner sa maman dans le milieu de détention jusqu'à 3 ans. Ils n'ont rien fait pour se retrouver ici. C'est leurs mamans qui ont fauté et qui sont là.
Food is scarce and of poor quality, with inmates receiving only one meal a day, typically rice or maize. This isn't enough to meet their nutritional needs, and around 30% of the women suffer from chronic malnutrition, making them more vulnerable to health issues. The prison's medical care is severely lacking, with just one nurse for all the female prisoners. Most women don't receive treatment for illnesses, injuries, or mental health problems, leading to the spread of diseases like tuberculosis. Another serious issue is the lack of legal assistance. Many women are detained without trial, with about 50% of inmates being pretrial detainees. This violates their basic rights and highlights the delays in Mali's justice system, leaving many women trapped in these harsh conditions. Luzira, Women's Prison, Uganda. Luzira Women's Prison in Uganda may be more organized, but life inside is far from easy. Built for 200 inmates, it often holds over 500, making it unbearably overcrowded. Women sleep on the floor because there aren't enough beds, and meals of pasho and beans barely provide any nutrition. Malnutrition is widespread, especially among pregnant women and new mothers.
When I reached here, I was still sick, and they took me in sick bay. There is a clinic. In the morning, I went there. They started giving me medication. Then from there, they could not handle me there. I was taken to staff with my baby.
Medical help is limited, with few staff and scarce medicines. Illnesses like malaria and skin infections spread fast. For mothers, it's even worse. The small nursery for babies lacks proper food and care. Sanitary pads and soap are hard to come by, forcing women to suffer in silence. Many inmates spend years waiting for their cases to be heard, trapped in the slow-moving legal system. Luzira is a place where hope is hard to find, and survival is a daily struggle. Kakamega Women's Prison, Kenya. Kakamega Women's Prison in western Kenya is overcrowded, and its conditions are harsh. Originally designed for 500 women, the prison now holds over 1,500, leading to cramped, unsanitary living conditions. Inmates often sleep on the floor with little space, which increases the risk of spreading diseases. The food supply is inadequate, with women receiving just one meal a day, usually ugali, maize porridge, and beans. This meager portion doesn't provide enough nutrition, and around 40% of the women suffer from malnutrition.
And urged well-wishers to visit and extend the festive joy.
Healthcare is severely lacking. The prison clinic is underfunded, and there aren't enough medical staff to care for all the inmates. Many women have to wait weeks for treatment, and essential medicines are in short supply. Mental health care is nearly non-existent, and many women face untreated psychological issues. Physical punishment for minor offenses is common, and legal support is minimal. Around 60% of the women are pretrial detainees, stuck in detention for long periods without a fair trial, highlighting the slow pace of Kenya's justice system. Nsawam Women's Prison, Ghana. Nsawam Women's Prison in Ghana, originally built for 800, now holds over 3,000 detainees, mostly women. The overcrowding is overwhelming, with women crammed into tight spaces where diseases like tuberculosis spread quickly. Around 25% of the women suffer from untreated chronic illnesses due to the lack of medical care, and the poor sanitation only worsens their suffering. There are not enough toilets or clean water, making the prison a breeding ground for deadly diseases.
Prisons are there. And for us, it was like it was the right thing to do. Beyond just the building, or
Food is scarce, and many women go hungry, surviving on small portions of starch-based meals that lack nutrition. They rarely get fresh fruits, vegetables, or protein, leading to malnutrition. Legal help is nearly impossible to come by, as over 60% of the women are stuck in prison without a trial, often waiting for years. Despite some attempts to improve conditions, Nsawam remains a harsh and suffocating place, where women's basic rights are ignored and their hopes for justice are trapped behind bars. Pollsmoor Women's Prison, South Africa. Pollsmoor Women's Prison, located in the city of Cape Town, South Africa, is a prison infamous for its extreme overcrowding and violence. Initially built to hold around 3,000 inmates, the facility currently houses more than 7,000 people, with women making up a significant portion of the population. This overcrowding creates cramped living conditions, with some prisoners forced to sleep on the floor, often in makeshift arrangements. The pressure of overcrowding has led to frequent reports of fights between inmates and abuses by prison staff. Violence within Pollsmoor is so pervasive that it is considered one of the most dangerous prisons in South Africa.
I understand that, but unfortunately we don't invite them here. Correctional services. We don't invite any offender here. They come here because they do alleged crimes.
The lack of sufficient medical care in Pollsmoor exacerbates the challenges faced by women in the prison. According to reports, the prison's clinic is severely understaffed and ill-equipped to address the medical needs of inmates. Routine medical checkups are limited, and women often wait weeks or even months for treatment for illnesses. Tuberculosis is a common affliction among the prison population, with a significant portion of women suffering from this infectious disease. The lack of rehabilitation programs has also become a major issue, as there are very few resources available for women to pursue education, vocational training, or psychological counseling. Antanamora Prison. Situated in the heart of Madagascar's capital, Antananarivo, Antanamora Prison serves as a grim reminder of the harsh realities behind bars. Far from the serene beauty of Madagascar, this overcrowded facility is one of the most notorious women's prisons in the world. Originally designed to hold 800 inmates, the prison now houses over 4,000 detainees. Conditions are so cramped that prisoners often sleep with their feet on each other's heads, making rest a struggle for survival. Overcrowding is worsened by the alarming number of pretrial detainees, who make up 60% of the population. Among them is Demowana, a 33-year-old woman arrested for a same-gender relationship. Despite being eligible for release, she spent an additional 10 months behind bars due to systemic delays in Madagascar's justice system. Prison sanitation and nutrition are equally dismal. Inmates receive only one meal a day, usually boiled cassava, which leads to severe malnutrition. Research shows that nearly 40% of women are chronically undernourished. Poor hygiene and limited access to medical care have caused a surge in infectious diseases, making Antanamora a breeding ground for health crises, as evidenced during the COVID-19 pandemic. Recognizing the urgent need for reform, President Andry-Nirina Rajoelina visited the prison in 2019, acknowledging its deplorable conditions. Efforts to address overcrowding and improve living conditions, including a proposed increase in the prison budget, have been suggested. Amnesty International and other global organizations continue to advocate for changes in Madagascar's penal system, stressing the need to reduce pretrial detention and uphold human rights behind bars. For more such amazing videos, do subscribe to our channel.